Oh yeah, I'm gonna do
Oh,
like this right
yeah.
now, so that I want the screenshot to be like this. I want the screen
Mm.
grab to be with the cup in front of me. Know what I'm saying?
There we go.
See here, y'all know the deal. Let me see. Let me see
Sherry
if
share. Clickety
yeah,
click.
you know, if you care, you should share. You know what I'm saying?
Sharing's
I mean,
caring,
if
especially when it's
sharing is
videos.
caring, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you out there and if you care, you should share. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so
share.
I care, so I'm trying to share right now. I'm just waiting for it to pop up on the page. You know what I'm
It just came
saying?
up on mine.
Did it?
Yeah.
Let me hit refresh here. See what the deal is.
There we
What are we
go.
wearing? I always gotta look for what we're wearing and see if that's what shows up on the video here. Man, it ain't show up on mine yet, man.
I'm telling you, you got some Wi-Fi issues.
No, I think it's just taking a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just letting folks join. You know, just going
Hi,
live, letting folks
Janine.
join a little bit. Is Janine
She's
on there?
already here. She's already
Is
here.
she?
She almost beat
Oh
us here. She's so
man,
fast.
man, you gone, girl, with your bad self. Janine, man, she's fan number one. You are
Numero
forever going to be
uno.
fan number one. You are numero uno in our hearts and numero uno in our feed. You are fan number one, my friend.
Hi. She said
Janine is
hi.
the one. Did she? Did
Yeah.
you put up on the screen? Oh, there you put it up on the screen. Oh yeah. I bet
What
Janine is going to
what
hit share. I bet she's going to hit share. I bet you.
do you mean did I put it on
I
the
bet.
screen? What you gotta pay
I was
attention.
looking down. I didn't look up. I bet you $1 million Janine is going to hit share. I
That's
bet
right.
you.
Oh
I
wait.
bet you $1 million.
$1 million.
I bet
She's
you.
driving, she says. Well, share after. Don't share while you're driving. That's
Yeah.
dangerous.
No, don't sharing and driving. That's illegal. Oh, there we go. Boom. Finally popped up.
Gotta
All right,
work
I
on your
hit
Wi-Fi.
share. Nah, I hit
Hey,
share, man. You shared this post.
yes.
Pew, 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 pew. Hey, if you don't know who we are, that's kind of weird because you're probably on one of our timelines. Although, if you are on one of our timelines, you should go to the Men of Masculinity page on Facebook because you can comment there and we can see it live and he can put it up on the screen just like he did Janine. But that being said, boom, there it is. See, you can be just like her. Janine is fan number one, always, always. And that being said, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Men of Masculinity, baby.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Yes,
for
sir.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you know what?
Yep.
You talk about fan number one. Fan number one, guess what? This topic is for you.
It's
This
actually from you.
Came from you. It's for you and it's from you. We had this topic pop up, you know, because we're all about the people, you know what I'm saying? We want to give folks what they want.
We're men for the
We
people.
want this to be a back and forth kind of thing. And so after the last video, Janine popped on and she said, hey, you know, I don't want to misquote the comment, but basically it was, hey, you know, can you kind of discuss something to the effect of, can you discuss, you know, what it's like when men are healing and how a woman can help a man in his healing, which we thought was a pretty profound topic. And so we decided, you know what, for fan number one, we're gonna give her what she asked for because we're givers like that.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean it was apropos because not only did she say what is it like for men to heal their trauma or what do they go through, but she also said, and how can women support without fixing? And I think that was very profound because we tend to get a lot of let me fix you because I think you're awesome, but you're broken. And it's like, well, especially for men, that's like that's a non sequitur. We go, you think I'm what?
Right.
Bye.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah. That shows how emotionally intelligent someone like Janine is. I mean, to not only have the thought and the concept, but to also recognize that she should not be in the business of fixing. And she doesn't want to be in the business of fixing. Unfortunately, a lot of people in culture and one-on-one tend to say, hey, there's a man, what needs to be fixed about him? So, you know, I mean, that was very emotionally intelligent of you, Janine. And so that's why you are fan number one. You're number uno right there.
Yeah, well, and it's something we run into quite a bit, and I'm sorry, ladies, not to call y'all out for a minute, but when you see a man and he has you see he has potential, and you want to bring that potential out, that's akin to fixing. If you're not accepting him as he is, and being happy with that, or going, well, he's pretty good, but let me. I see he's got potential, and I can support him to be better. That's the
Right.
same as akin to fixing. So no,
Right.
don't do that.
Yeah.
If you don't accept him
Hmm.
and come at him with this, I'm going to fix you, make you better. He already
Hmm.
feels disrespected and
Yeah.
unloved, and so he's less likely. He's going to be resistant to that help. Now, if you can accept
Yeah.
him and give him that support, he will naturally want to become better for you or with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So no
Yeah,
fixing
and
is
that
bad.
that kind of goes back to, safety, emotional safety for a
Mhm.
man, right? I mean, if you want to be safe, then you see him as he is. You accept him, connect with. When I say accept, I'm talking about, that's just who he is. If he happens to go on a journey of enlightenment and a journey of healing, change, whatever, then that's on him. But um but when you don't show up with an agenda to fix or
Mhm.
to help him or whatever, well, here's what he needs, and I'm gonna make sure I get this to him. If you don't show up like that, then you are now safe. You're safe for him to just be who he is. So every woman for sure should expect this man, when you meet him, expect him to be that way forever.
Yeah,
Expect it.
and it actually, and if you have kids, you've experienced this. When your kids feel secure with
Hmm.
you, then they're not clingy. Then they'll go
Yeah.
off and they're more confident. And it's the same sort of
Yeah.
thing with men. I'm sure it's the same for all of us as human beings. When we feel
Yeah.
secure, then we go, now I'm not having to fight to just be where I'm at. Now
Yeah.
I feel secure here. I feel safe. Now I
Yeah.
can look at, okay, the horizon. I can look at the next
Yeah.
thing and move in that direction. So
Yeah.
first
Now,
thing,
when I
you love it
say
that way.
expect him to not change, I'm what I'm saying is accepting him the way he is,
Right.
not the way he could be. And so, yes, I mean, a lot of us, especially, as we do our best to advance kind of, what we consider our lane of a men's movement, then ideally in our perfect world, men as a whole are advancing and we are getting better in every kind of way. And so our hope is that men do heal and progress and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, when you meet him, you don't meet him under the guise or under the premise that that he needs to, or at some point he's going to change. Oh, I know he has this problem. I know he's abusive now, but I'm sure at some point, he's going to love me enough to never do that again. Or I know that, at the same time, if he shows up and he's kind and he's healed and all, he's done his work and all that kind of stuff, you also shouldn't assume, oh, he's like this, but I bet you he's going to be just like Leroy or whoever the last guy was. I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point he's going to change because this can't be real and you can't believe that. So, expect him to, to be the way he is. And if he happens to change, then you accept it as it comes.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. You want to love him, warts and all, and
Yeah.
actually because of his flaws and things,
Yeah.
those are unique to him, and
Yeah.
hopefully he'll be loving you the same way, warts
Yeah.
and all, and love you because of your flaws. But
Right.
to Janine's point, to her question, first, how do men heal from trauma? And when it comes to relationships, we do not want to have our partner be the everything. It's unfair to them, but our partner, because we're in life together, should be support. So
Yeah.
the analogy that Kirk and I came up with is basically you're like the ER, your triage. You want to be there for the emergency. If there's something that just happened, he needs support right now. Help him with that support. Give him, let him know it's going to be okay. That things will be better and help him. And this is probably the hardest part for a lot of ladies, especially in the West, is allowing your man to be emotionally vulnerable and not trying to fix it. Just like when you are upset, you don't want us to fix you, you want us to listen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Same old thing. Allow him to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, allow him to have that, because you're his rock at that time. If he's your rock
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
strong the rest of the time, when he's vulnerable and traumatized, that's when he needs you to be his rock. And then send him off to the hospital, to the therapist, to his boys, to wherever he does his healing. What do you
Yeah,
think, Kurt?
because ultimately healing, the kind of, first of all, the first half of that is how do men heal? I think men heal in the presence of other men on the healing journey. I mean, I don't think any of us are there, but we can be here on the way to there. And so when he gets in a group of men trying to work on their stuff, when he gets in a group of relatively, good guys, decent guys, healthier guys that are about the right thing, guys that are on their purpose. When he gets in circles like that, then that's when healing happens. It takes a man to make a man. And so even those of us that may be wounded boys inside of a 40, 50-year-old man, in order for us to get to Manville, we have to get on that bus with other men. That bus doesn't happen hitchhiking down the road. And so, so that being said, the healing happens in the hospital, and the hospital is where he gets in a healthy group of men. That's why both of us are active with other men. We live life together. We probably spent 6 or 7 hours, the other day, literally together, face to face, having deep conversations and sharing time. We get together with B men. We get together with just other guys in these kind of circles. So that's the hospital, right? When you go into the ER, that's where triage happens. That's where they stop the bleeding. That's when they stop the, whatever the chronic issue is. And then they admit you to the hospital if need be. You never, for the most part, walk in and I'm going to check into ICU. You never check into the ICU from the front desk of the hospital. That comes through the emergency room. So the metaphor is, or the word picture is, as a woman, you might be the triage. You might be the ER, that can help him stop the bleeding of what's going on in the moment. But in terms of the holistic long-term healing, that happens in the hospital, where the hospital being a group of men moving in purpose together.
Yeah, and the main thing is you don't want to have that responsibility of trying to heal your man. What you want to do is support him in the initial trauma and then send him off to the other men because number one, because we're so isolated just in this country and just naturally as men, we need to get around other men. So number one, we don't feel alone because like all human beings, we think it's just me. And so we need to be around other men to go, oh, it's not just me. This guy's gone through it. This guy's gone through it. And oh, he has experience with this. So now he can support me. And I don't feel number one alone or broken. And that this is something that other people have gone through. And that number one, that's probably 50% of the healing right there is to realize I'm not alone, one, and that other people have gone through this. And when we have that from other men, then we can really accept it because you got to feel it to heal it. So when we're no longer feeling alone, we realize there's others that have done this, then we can settle into it and kind of feel that. And then that's where the healing really begins.
Yeah. And this is difficult for some women, for a lot of women, I'd say 51 out of 100, because it's like you want to be there. You want to, you want to help him. You want to help him get to where he is. But the reality is there are some things that a man cannot heal and cannot process with a woman or through a woman. I mean, there's some things that are some battles that he fights. There are some, some things that he goes through that really the only way he can process that is in the presence of safe men that can understand. Like you can jump straight to he doesn't have to explain all the details, and he doesn't have to explain why he thinks that way or why. I mean, there's some things same thing with, women, same thing. When women get in the presence of other women, they don't have to explain their femininity. When we get in the presence of other men, we don't have to explain our masculinity. So we have to understand that some things may be your job, some things may not be. The triage may be your job, but the healing may not be.
Yeah. And one thing to remember too is there are biological differences. There are neurological differences between men and women. So if he has had a traumatic experience, trying to force him to talk to you about his emotions at that time is usually the very wrong thing to do because most men take a while to even process or even formulate what's going on. And it's very difficult in that moment to even talk about it. Usually, I know in my experience, I have to go away and have some private time or, go out in the nature or get around some other guys and just kind of settle before and then figure out what it is I'm actually feeling, figure out what's going on, figure out how to verbalize that. Whereas most women, and not all, but most women process their trauma through talking, through expressing their emotions, but you have an emotional vocabulary. You are more in touch with your emotions. We're not. We're not wired that way. So if you're trying to force your man, well, tell me what's going on, tell me what you're feeling, let me help you. That's actually being more you're being more traumatizing in that moment because that's not how he's going to process it. So being able to just hold that space and say, okay, honey, I got you. I'm here for you. If you need to cry, if you need whatever, just let me know what you need. And then get him to whatever his healing circle is so that he can process that because honestly, you don't want that burden, but you also want to be supportive. So it's the best way to do it that we know how.
Yeah, and hopefully this is a relief to women. Hopefully this is like, okay, cool. It's not my responsibility. It's not my job. I say just even in the context of maybe even my first book with addiction, the problem is his to fix. The problem is his to address. It's not yours. It's not the wife's problem that the husband, has had this 30-year porn addiction. I mean, he probably got bonded with, with that, when he was in single digit years old. And so it's not the wife's problem to fix. I think the solution is theirs. I think intimacy is the solution, and he can't have intimacy by himself. But I don't think the problem is hers. And so hopefully this is a relief to women, that there are some things that he's dealing with. There's some struggles that he has that are not mine to solve, or not mine to deal with. And that's a great opportunity for you to kind of help him out the front door as he goes to spend time with his boys. Hopefully they're good men, as he goes to that men's group, or as he goes to that men's meeting, or that men's getaway, or as he goes to play golf with that good solid guy in his life, or bowling, or whatever his thing is. Hopefully, that'll help you kind of gladly escort him out, so he can go deal with some man stuff with some men, and you don't have to solve that problem for him.
Yeah, as long as it's not the bar, as long as he's not
Right.
to bury
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
emotions, which I mean, most men nowadays do. That's the only way they know how to deal with it, because
Yeah.
if they're not in a men's group, if they're not surrounding themselves with healthy men who are doing the work, they just feel like they're isolated and there's no one they can talk to, because they've been told this story. And I've seen several posts in the last couple of days about it, where they post, someone will post, well, where do you go when you're at your lowest? And they have all these videos of guys going, nowhere. I talk to
Yeah.
nobody. I've got nobody. Nobody cares.
Right.
So if he has a group, send him out there. Don't send him to the bar.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have a group, then this is probably something you should have been taken care of before. But make sure he has a group. Make sure you're both, and for both of you, be constantly working on yourselves and working as a couple, because that's how you're gonna create that sustainable relationship, that sustainable bonding and intimacy, is by continuing to work on yourselves. I think most of us grew up in that household where we heard, well, I got him now, that's it. Well, that's not a healthy outlook. you're,
Yeah.
you're still a growing person. Why would you just stop? But that's what well, I got him under contract now, so
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. And so obviously going out the door to the shoe show, I'm talking about the shoe show where the shoe models are. That ain't what I'm talking about. That ain't what we're talking about. We're talking about the healthy group of men. That's why a couple weeks ago we talked about the wolf pack. We talked about men needing other men. So we're having these conversations on both sides of the equation, in terms of, hey man, here's how we think. And a lot of men that we know think in terms of how men have experienced what we are trying to get out of life. The fulfillment of masculinity happens in the presence of other men. So therein lies your wolf pack. And now we're having, on the flip side, the same conversation with women, in terms of when he wants to, or as he has this wolf pack. And again, we're talking about healthy men. We're not talking about going to the shoe show, right? I mean, we're talking about healthy men that are trying to advance, healthy masculinity the best way they can. Then yeah, that's the absolute safe place for him to go. And quite honestly, like I said, that a lot of times that's safer for him to be at than even with you, because his trigger might be you. he might need to get away from you in order to process you, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. Like JBK just said, sometimes he needs to get away, and sometimes he needs to go process some stuff and then come back, and he's like, okay, now we can deal with this thing. And so yeah, we're obviously talking about getting around the right groups of people and not getting around some unhealthy environments.
Yeah, and to reiterate, men and women process trauma and emotions differently. So if you guys are fighting, or if there's something traumatic going on in your relationship, and you're one of those that's like, no, we need to talk about this now, and he says, no, I need to go, let the man leave, because we process things differently. And usually when we say I need to go, it's because the temper is rising. It's gonna lose control of maybe the anger or something. And so allowing that man to go process is safer for both of y'all, because you don't want him to end up in jail because he snapped at you, or the neighbors heard some yelling or something like that. But it's just a biological imperative for us to process in our own unique ways. And if we can support each other that way, by knowing, yes, we are different, we are wired differently, and we need to process differently. I know the media is saying lots of different things, but we men and women are biologically different. It's scientific. It's out there. We process things differently. We're wired differently. So when you know that, you can go, okay, it's like you need to have a safe word. pineapple or Worcestershire or whatever. So now we're going to stop. We're going to take a time out and both go to our neutral corners or go out the house for an hour and go for a walk and process and then come back and have a congenial adult calm conversation about whatever's going on so you can actually process it and come up with a conclusion and a solution.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this is why. So when he gets around other men, he can say some things, maybe even about you or about the situation. He can use some language that maybe he can't use in front of you. Maybe he can say some things, quite honestly, that he's honestly feeling about you that he can't say to you because you may get hurt or you may bring it back up in the future. He can get some stuff off his chest and know that it's a safe environment. And so yeah, I mean, I think I think the whole idea of allowing him the space and the place to go do that in terms of the healing is important. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you don't play any part in it or can't play any part in it. You can absolutely play the like I said, that triage role. If something happens, if he has a significant loss in his family or loss of a career or whatever, or some kind of health issue or something like that, he absolutely needs you there for support. And maybe, it helped to figure out the immediacy of the situation, but if there's some serious brokenness that takes like long-term healing, again, nobody's in the emergency room for a couple weeks, right? I mean, nobody's in the emergency room for months. I mean, you go to the ER, they figure out what's going on, they try to do their best to stop whatever or control whatever the situation is, and then they move you to a place for more long-term healing. And so, so that's not to say that his woman can't be involved. But I would say 51 out of 100 men at least need something more, something beyond just the immediacy of what their woman can provide them in order for healing. We're not talking about just triage. We're not talking about just stopping the bleeding, but we're talking about actual healing of something that he has. That has to happen in a more long-term setting, but also in a more long-term journey.
Yeah, and as far as your role as his partner and as a woman in a relationship, a lot of times when guys get traumatized, their first instinct is to wall up, to cave up, to isolate. And so one of the best things you can do is get him to his group, get him out to that healing, get him to the hospital basically to do the work because it's very ingrained in us just to naturally go as soon as we get hurt, we go to our cave. It's like if you ever had a cat get sick or something like that, they go hide under the bed or something like that. Same kind of thing. We tend to go to our dark corner, we tend to go to our cave or whatever and hide out until we either process or we've got enough handle on it, or we just shove it down far enough that it's not right here, and then we can go back out in the world. So being a supportive partner, going, okay, I know that you're traumatized, I know something's going on, you need to get out to the hospital, you need to go out to your boys, you need to go talk to somebody, you need to go talk to your guys and process this. And that could be the best help you can be, is by not trying to take that weight on yourself, but by getting him to where he needs to go. It's just like, if you're not, even if you are a doctor and your family gets sick, they don't come see you. They go see another doctor because you're too emotionally involved. This is your partner. This is your family. You're too emotionally involved to really be good at healing. You need to be, that's why all therapists have that kind of separateness. They keep a distance so they can be more better able to help them without getting emotionally involved. And so that's, you don't want to be emotionally involved while your man's going through his stuff. You want to be a little separate and get him to where he needs to be.
Now, I would say there's a fine line. If I were speaking to a woman and her man, I would say I would caution her not to go find him someplace for him to go get healed. I would caution her to not say, "Hey, you need to go to be men. Hey, you need to go to that small group at church, that men's group at church. Hey, you need to go to AA. Hey, you need to go." That gets into fixing. I would say, support him, as he is doing those things, but probably not be the person that, that is telling him where he needs to go and what he needs to do. That, because that, again, that gets into fixing, that gets into, wait a minute.
You might have to use your feminine wild sneakiness, intuition, and say,
superpower.
hey, your superpower should be like, you haven't seen your buddy in a while. Why don't you guys go play golf?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you haven't
Ooh,
seen something.
ooh.
Go fishing,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Because
yeah.
when you come to, we men do enjoy more of
Yeah,
a direct
yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
except when we're in pain, and then it's like you
yeah,
want to come around, decide, and go, hey, how about you go see Joe?
yeah.
You go see Fred
Ooh,
or whatever.
that's a great opportunity to say, hey, I brought you something. I brought you something. I brought home a new fishing rod, or I bought you a gift card to Cabela's. I bought you or I went and I bought a round of golf, for you from somewhere. Or I bought you a new golf club or something like that. That is a subtle hint that hey, guess what? Here's an
Yeah.
opportunity for you to go do that thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, great opportunity for you to say, you know what I was thinking, like you just said, man. I'm repeating the same exact thing. I'm thinking, you know what, you haven't been out for a round of golf in a while. Man, it's a great weekend coming up. Maybe I mean that kind of stuff. Shoot, man. Great opportunity to get him out there.
Yeah.
Great opportunity to get him
Yeah.
out of the house, because healing probably doesn't happen in the house for him. By the way, healing probably doesn't happen in the home. It probably happens somewhere outside, out in the woods, hunting, out on the course. Taking hacks at a ball, driving range, on a fishing pond, wherever his bowling alley, whatever his thing is. It probably healing for him probably doesn't happen inside the place where he lives.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point. If you're in a kind of traditional masculine feminine relationship, he is most likely in that provider role, that protector role, the presiding
Mhm.
role of the house and of the
Mhm.
family, and
Mhm.
so he just will naturally suck it up and
Yeah.
grit his teeth and tough it out. So the home isn't necessarily his healing place. He's working then, he's providing then. He's got to
Yeah.
oversee and hold that frame. So this is may not be the best place for him to do the healing. So getting him
Yeah.
out to get around his guys and his healthy guys. If you know he has healthy guys around, maybe give him a heads up, like, hey, I'm sending homeboy to you.
Yeah.
Be ready.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are going to play golf and stuff like that.
Yeah, send him and his boys to go play golf or to go bowling or something like
Yes.
that. Go buy him whatever. I mean,
Yes,
that's
Janine, we like to isolate.
yeah, we absolutely do. So, man, let's line up for the runway here, man. Let's bring this plane in for a landing here, man. Let's put the flaps
Yes.
down and come in on
Flaps
runway
down.
23 left.
Gear down.
What are your thoughts, man?
Remember that men and women, we process differently. If your man is having trauma, do not ask him to express his emotions or talk to you like you do with your girlfriends. We don't do that, or we're not very equipped to do that. It may put him further behind. Get him out, you be triage, help stop the bleeding, and then get him to his guys, get him to his men's group. If he has a therapist or a counselor, something like that, get him there. And then maybe support him in that way, support him in more to be, more proactive in getting healing, but don't take that weight on yourself, because you don't want us to take on all your pain and sorrows, and you don't want us to try to fix you. So don't try to do it to us. What do you think, sir?
I would say, again, friend, way back to the beginning, how you meet him, if you can't love him and accept him the way he is right there, then he's probably not the guy. If he has an addiction when you meet him, don't think that it's just going to magically go away with some pixie dust sometime in the future kind of thing. So, I mean, if you meet a guy and he has some kind of red flag for you, don't ignore that red flag. If you're with a guy and he's going through something, because we all do, if he's going through something, perfect opportunity to get him, to the place where he needs it. I've had more than once. I've had a wife of a friend of mine, kind of call me and say, hey, Kirk, so and so's going through this or going through that, or this happened or this happened. She wasn't snitching, like dry snitching, but we're close like that. And she said, would you mind reaching out to him because he's going through something, and all that kind of stuff. So perfect opportunity to connect him, with other men or with another man that you and he trust. And, again, send him out to play golf, send him out to go fishing or hunting or bowling, whatever, send him all that kind of stuff. But perfect opportunity to reach out to one of his friends, one of his brothers, and just kind of say, hey, he might be going through something. Do you mind checking in with him? So good stuff, man. Good stuff, brother. Hey, man, what do you think, man? If somebody wants to say, hey, JBK, I need some help with this thing, how can they get a hold of you, man?
You just go right down here to the Jason B. Kendrick website. You'll find my email address, my phone number. Send me an email, give me a call, text message. Let me know what's going on, and we'll set up a time we can talk. Do video chat. We can just get on the phone, whatever you need. We're here to help. If you just need another man to empathize, because Kirk and I have learned the hard way. So most likely, what you're going through, we have either gone through or been very close to it. So we're definitely here to let you know you're not alone and you're not the only one. How can they get a hold of you, sir? Because I know this guy right here, he's good. This is my go-to guy right here. So I don't want you to give out your number. Maybe I need to keep you free.
No way, man. Vice versa, man. I mean, we both been there for each other in a whole lot of ways, man. But yeah, like I said, we're both available on our websites, our phone numbers, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes a guy just needs a guy to listen and not try to fix anything and just say, okay, we are both that kind of guy. So feel free to reach out to us. We might have some huge things coming down the line. Ain't saying nothing, but the Mad Men are doing. The Mad Men,
things are happening.
We're not mad angry. We're mad crazy about Crazy 4. We're passionate about
we're passionate
masculinity, and man, we are trying to advance this thing the best that we can. And
we are your home for healthy masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. Absolutely, absolutely. So we love y'all, and we will be in touch. And we'll see you next time on Mad Men Radio.
Later.